Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes? So my name is Angela Antolini. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing and Communications at the Cradle to Cradle Products Innovation Institute. That is the nonprofit organization that runs the Cradle to Cradle Certified Products Program and the related certification. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this session that is called Beyond Sustainability Part 1, Achieve Material Health and Circularity with Cradle to Cradle Certified. We are here on the material stage of Future Build to explore real solutions from global frontrunners that you can see here on the right, who will share how they are implementing innovations, products and materials, especially, that have a positive impact on our planet and its people. So I am making assumptions. So I'm assuming that by being here, you all know what Cradle to Cradle Certified is, but can I actually ask the audience to raise your hand if you have heard about Cradle to Cradle Certified before? Okay, that's a good half probably. And does anybody actively work with Cradle to Cradle Certified at the moment? Okay, great. That's good to know. So let me just say what Cradle to Cradle Certified is. It is the leading global standard for safe, circular, and responsibly made products. So in this session, and also in the one immediately after that, we will hear stories from a diverse range of companies and organizations about how Cradle to Cradle Certified is inspiring and guiding the shift towards the circular economy with products that are made for tomorrow. So we have a short video that will tell you what made for tomorrow is. Let's watch it if it plays.
To protect our planet and its people, we must change our linear systems of business and production. Nature, where everything is reused in infinite cycles, is our source of inspiration for new circular business models. At Cradle to Cradle Certified, we power this shift to a circular economy. Our standard is used globally by hundreds of leading companies to create products that are safe, circular, and responsibly made. These pioneering companies show us that we can reshape the way we design and make things using innovation as a driver of change. Today, together, we are paving the way for a world where materials and products are made for tomorrow. Holistically, from design to manufacturing to renewable product life cycles, to create a future-proof infinite loop and leave a positive impact for the next generations. It is in our nature. Join us as we continue the cycle. Cradle to Cradle Certified, made for tomorrow.
So hopefully everybody understands what made for tomorrow means in Cradle to Cradle Certified terms. But let me just briefly give you an overview before I pass over to our speakers today. So this graphic really represents the holistic nature of the framework. So we're not looking at one, but 5 different categories of performance across different areas of sustainability for these products. We're looking at the material health and the product circularity. And these 2 categories are the focus of this session now. And then the next session at 5, we will look at the 3 other categories. And it's a global framework. It's available globally and adopted by companies across 5 different continents. And it is a third-party verified assessment and certification, which is ever more important nowadays with the digital passport requirements that are more and more impending on us. So this is actually what our first speaker will tell us more about, Andrea Charlson from Madaster UK. She's the managing director there. And let me just briefly introduce also the other speakers. Tina Snekker Christensen, Head of Sustainability and Communications at Trolltech. And then we have Rosalind Hippolyte-Icom, Area Specification Manager at London and Southeast Atex Exteriors UK Ltd from Epitone. And then we have Andrew Jackson, Business Development Director of EMEA at Shaw Europe. So welcome to our speakers, and I'll hand over to them to continue.
Thank you very much. Yes, so as you just heard, my name is Andrea Charlson and I am the Managing Director for Madasta in the UK. But we don't make stuff, so why are we here? And it's because we have a shared vision with the one that you just heard from the Cradle to Cradle Products Institute. So our vision is of a world without waste. And to achieve that vision, to achieve a world without waste, it means we need to start using and reusing our products in a circular manner, which was one of the attributes you just saw of the Cradle to Cradle products framework. And I've been trying to do this in my professional career for around 10 years, and there's lots of potential barriers to this, but there are two fundamentals that can really help realize this circulation of materials. The first is around having materials that are able to be reused, and the second is all of the facilitating networks that make it easy for us to reuse them and make people want to reuse them. So everyone else who is going to follow will hopefully be talking about the first point, about how their products are durable, reusable, healthy, safe, non-toxic, all guided by the C2C products framework. And I'm going to focus on that second attribute, which is making it much more easy to reuse these products and also helping them to retain their value. So the way we do that by Madasta is that we've created a platform which enables the documentation, registration, and transferring of data around the materials and products related to buildings and infrastructure. It's a register, it's a record. We like to know what materials are in what buildings, where they are, where they've come from, and what can happen to them in the future. By doing this, we provide the products with an identity, or rather, we allow them to retain the identity that they already had before they suddenly became part of a building or an infrastructure asset. Because unfortunately that seems to be what happens today. There's a lot of work goes into designing and specifying products and then assembling them into buildings. As soon as it's completed, we've forgotten what's there and where it came from, how to look after it, never mind what could happen to it in the future. So one of the main attributes of the Madasta register is to enable stuff that we already know not to get lost. By doing that, by enabling these products to retain their identity, it means they're able to retain value in their own right, so that when it's no longer needed in that asset, it's not automatically waste. It's already a thing that we can then decide what to do with. And it might be that it does need to become waste, but also it's more likely than not that it doesn't have to be. And by knowing what we've got and where it is, where it came from, we're able to then sustainably manage that resource. It might mean that it can go back to its manufacturer. There might be a take-back scheme. There might even be a buyback scheme. It might be that it does need to be recycled, but if we know exactly what it is, we can get it into its optimal recycling route. The extra thing that we do at Madasta, so Madasta is a platform, so we take all those product information, we then assemble them into buildings or infrastructure assets. And we do that as a platform-based solution. And one of the advantages of doing it across a platform rather than doing it kind of in a more ad hoc manner, perhaps powered by spreadsheets or other databases, is you can then start to aggregate additional environmental insights. So for a whole asset, or even for a portfolio of assets or a geographical region, we can then start to understand more about the trends within those assets and at wider scale. So that can be, what is the overall circularity potential of the building or the asset? What could be recovered? How much could be recycled? What's its whole life carbon? How detachable are the elements within that building? And also things around residual value. What could the value of the commodities be that make up those materials within the building? And like I say, that's all aggregated from product level information, but then you can start to see insights at a much broader scale. And eventually this could power kind of industrial reuse at a whole regional scale. If we can see the big trends of what kinds of materials are in what buildings and when might they be coming to the end of their life, we can then start to plan recapturing those in a more systematic way than what we're doing today, which is kind of quite ad hoc, project-to-project reuse. Which kind of brings me on to the key point about we enable this data because it unlocks data-driven decision-making. So whether you're a manufacturer, the design or construction team, or the asset owner, having access to this information means you can make better decisions throughout all of those different stages of an asset. And it all starts with product data. It's not just EPD data, it's much, much more. It's where it came from, what it could be used for in the future, and all the associated material that means it's going to be able to be kept in its first use for as long as possible through maintenance, cleaning, and also then recirculated to its maximum potential as well. Like I said, whether that's a take-back scheme, buy-back scheme, or being passed on in a second life ultimately. And that was me, and I will hand over to Tina.
Thank you, Andrea. Yes, my name is Tina Christensen. I'm from the Danish company Toltect. I'm also Danish, maybe you can hear that. Toltect, we manufacture wood panels, cement-bonded wood panels made from Danish spruce and Danish cement. We use only certified wood. I have a few examples here just to show you our products and applied. The first you see is natural wood, meaning it's an unpainted panel based on white cement. Next you have a school in Norway with light grey and dark grey painted panels. And lower you have a white painted ceiling, actually it's the London Design Museum. And finally black painted panels applied as a ceiling in the heart of Copenhagen, and the furniture show them there. This is to show that all our panels, natural or painted in these standard colors, are all Cradle to Cradle certified at gold level. And these were all standard panels, 60 by 120, but we also introduced in a series of design solutions. Basically, it's the same material, just has another visual. Again, you have the natural wood as a rump. Beside that, you have the total curves in grey. And as a wall and ceiling application, Toltec line design in white, and finally a restaurant with Toltec line in black. That was just to give you an introduction to the kind of materials that we're working with. We've been Cradle to Cradle certified since 2012, and this slide shows you how we've been advancing through. These are our different scorecards showing how we advanced from silver level in 2013 to gold level in 2022. Beside it is our roadmap that we launched 2012 going to 2022. So a lot of boxes are already ticked off. We're now working on our next ambitious roadmap. But as you can also see, our challenge for advancing from silver to gold level was actually the material health. And at Cradle to Cradle, we don't only have a list of unwanted substances. Actually, all materials are analyzed down to 100 ppm, that's parts per million. And so we only have one certificate, including both our unpainted and our painted panels. And since we only have this one certificate, the challenge was the paint. And the paint, as you see here, this is a highly modern facility that we installed in 2016. We actually collect the overspray, maybe you can see it. We collect the overspray, we mix it with new paint, and by that we could actually reduce our waste of paint by 70%. However, that means that we have durability issues with the paint, and we had to work with our paint supplier for them to work with their recipe for us to have a new recipe, for us to have a new paint so that we could advance to gold level. And that's where Cradle to Cradle gets really, really difficult, because you don't have just only to work with your own organization, you have to work with your supply chain. But that's also what makes the certification so strong. You really have an impact. The way it works with Cradle to Cradle is that actually our material assessor has an NDA with our supplier, because normally, normally you would only get to a data sheet, but with this NDA, the material assessor could really get into depth and work with developing the recipes. We're currently certified at a mix between version 3.1 and 4.0, and then here again we have a challenge with the material health, because at 4.0 we actually only have wood and lime in our products that are able to meet the gold level. And our raw materials are wood. Wood's not the problem. We only use certified wood, ensuring the biodiversity. The problem or the challenge is the lime. The limestone that's used for the cement is nice, clean, virgin raw material, which has a lot of embodied carbon. So we're now looking into a new binder. We started with one called FutureStem, which is not based on lime, but based on calcinated clay. Actually, it has we reduced the carbon footprint from our panels compared to the white panels by 38%. It's already won us a lot of awards, but that's just the first step because we're looking now into geopolymer, which is based on used materials. I'm not sure. Could I go on, Charlene? Yes. Okay. Our products are recyclable in both the biological and the technical cycle. Challenge is the lifetime. Our products last very, very long, at least 50 years. And when we get waste back today, it's fully undocumented. We don't know what happened to it during the lifetime. Therefore, we're very, very much for material passports, building passports, so that we know what happened to our panels so that we can utilize them at the highest possible level. We don't believe in one solution fits all. We believe in local solutions so that we could utilize not the end of life, but the circular panels at the highest possible level. That was as fast as I could do it. Sorry, Tilly.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosalind Hippolyte Asham, and I am the Equitone Specification Manager, and I look after London and the South East. Today I'm going to speak about Equitone's material health, amongst other things. Before I do that, I'd like to introduce you to who are our core company. And we are part of a major company who are ETEX. They have 5 sectors: building performance, exteriors, industry, installation, and new ways. There are 13 and a half teammates around us, always expanding because they're an acquisition, and we are in 45 countries. They have 160 offices and plants globally. ETEX also, which is part of the exteriors, which I said of the sector, Equitone, the brand, which used to be called Marley Turnip, just in case anyone didn't know. I've had various conversations today to introduce Equitone. So we're just letting everyone know that it was called Marley Turnip, but the new brand is now Equitone. Okay, ETEX also, with regards to the exteriors department as well, have 2 sister companies, which are Cradle and also Eternit as well. So Equitone, the brand. We have 6 materials within the brand. We have 2 factories, one in Belgium and one also in Germany. The Natura Pro, Textura, also Pictura, are produced in our German factory. They come in 2 sizes, 2 thicknesses, which are 8 and 12 mil thicknesses. In our Belgian factory, we have Tectiva, Linea, and also Linara. These differ in sizes. Tectiva, they come in an 8 mil thickness, and then Linea and Linara come in a 10 mil thickness. All our material has the same ingredients, same DNA. The only thing that they differ from each other is really the aesthetics. Another thing as well I will also say as well is that with regards to the DNA of the material, Textura and Pictura are a non-through coloured board. Our boards are through coloured, so just for that as awareness as well. So, our sustainability journey for Equitone. Our material is 100% recyclable. Its longevity is 50 plus years from your design intent. It's low material usage. It's lightweight. It can be put up easily and it can be taken off easily as well. Low maintenance, and it's great for modern methods of construction. With regards to the Cradle to Cradle certification, we wanted to be, as a brand, a third party kind of certified, and we felt that the Cradle to Cradle was a great kind of fit for us. And in anything, there's an assessment. So we looked at material health. All ingredients were individually assessed for banned substances and toxic waste and sort of like toxic substances as well. We looked at the separate paint, coating and assessment in that as well. We looked at the recyclable aspect of things as well, so making sure that we ramped up our recyclable kind of criteria within both factories, because we have 2 factories as well. And we really put practical steps to make that happen in between. We also looked at the climate protection, so making sure that each plant that we had was 100% green in both plants. And then we looked at the water and soil sort of stewardship as well. So we made sure that we put in where we installed kind of purification machines to make sure that the water that was used within the material, again, was actually pure and we weren't kind of trying to destroy the actual environment. And then we looked at the social fairness side of things. Etex as a company is great for their code of conduct. They're really hot on their values. We look at people that we work with, suppliers, and make sure they are the exact right fit for us. Employee engagement, they're very hot on that. I have the privilege of being part of the Employment Engaged Committee, and this is something that we are proud of. And really just embracing diversity and inclusion. So where are we? We are quite new to the certification, which is, so we are at bronze level. We are still kind of getting to there, and what's nice is I've been told today that we are edging onto our silver, which is actually a great sign for us as well. Why should architects consider Equitone? Its durability, its design flexibility. We have an expert service with myself as colleagues. We're on our sustainability journey with yourself as Cradle to Cradle, and then safety as well. So thank you very much.
Afternoon, everybody. You know who I am. So, great. So, Shaw Europe Limited, Shaw Contractor, a manufacturer of flooring products, mainly carpet tile. We're a global manufacturer. We're very proud to say that we were at the table when the Cradle to Cradle Institute was started more than 20 years ago. We were the first carpet tile to have Cradle to Cradle accreditation, that carpet tile being called EcoWorks. And we offered to the market at that time an EcoWorks carpet tile and a PVC-backed carpet tile. And as in most cases in the construction industry, the consumer decided what they wanted. And back there 22 years ago, where people weren't talking about sustainability, they chose a polyolefin-backed carpet tile over PVC. So the battle continues to get Cradle to Cradle certification on as many products as we can. Our goal as a commercial business is to have all of our flooring products Cradle to Cradle silver rated, or at least Cradle to Cradle rated by 2030. We've achieved that in our carpet tile products. We're 100% Cradle to Cradle certified. And we've got a little way to go to make some of our residential products in America silver Cradle to Cradle certified. Why aren't we moving to gold very quickly? We've always taken a policy. Number one, it's really difficult. I know we talked earlier on about gold being difficult, but silver and bronze is pretty challenging as well, I've got to tell you. It's not undoable, don't let that put you off, but it's certainly challenging. One of the reasons why we kept a lot of our product portfolio at silver is because we wanted to give designers the ultimate choice of an entire product portfolio, rather than saying, if you want this sustainable product, this is the one collection you can have. So we broadened our portfolio to be available on as much Cradle to Cradle certified certificates as possible. I'm going the wrong way. There we go. So last year, in actually just around this time, we were fortunate enough to do two things. We converted most of our sales in the Europe, Middle East and Africa region to EcoWorks, And we also launched a brand new version of EcoWorks coming out of our new factory in Scotland called EcoWorks S. And EcoWorks S is a closed loop carpet tile backing system which we take back after use, free of charge, from anywhere in the region. It's got a very low carbon score. It's 50% less weight in EcoWorks S than in most carpet tiles on the market at the moment, which reduces the materiality of the product, makes it easier to use, easier to cut, easier to install, easier to transport, and it's Silver Cradle to Cradle accredited. And one of the reasons why it's Silver Cradle to Cradle accredited is because it uses 100% recycled content yarn in the top cloth. Which way is it? I'm not going to go through every single bullet point, but our Made in the UK position makes us really competitive when it comes to the realities of delivering cradle-to-cradle products into the UK market. Often, materials get a really bad reputation because they're longer lead times and a lot more expensive, particularly when you start talking about sustainability accreditations. That, I don't seem to think, certainly in flooring, is no longer the case. We've managed to reduce the material we use in our product. We're increasing the recycled content in our raw materials that feed the overall recycled content of our product, which ultimately leads to other certifications. We have Air Comfort Gold, we have a really good industry-leading 15-year warranty, and we've now just introduced EcoWorks S as the only carpet tile in the UK market with the Works with Well certification, the well-being certification that we tend to get specified on quite a lot. This is a really, really important slide to show, and I know everybody knows this, okay? So no education purposes required. But the reality of doing this in our industry is so, so difficult, okay? So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for us to be able to use recycled content in our products, but also take back products at the end of their life. And by doing that, we've tried to make that easier point of use in the industry, both for installers, developers, and specifiers, by doing it for free on our EcoWorks S product. And that means that carpet tile gets put back into the manufacturing process to become carpet tile again. One of the key innovations that we've started to establish in the last 6 months is partnering with IOBAC, which produce mag tabs and tabbit, which means talking about products as assets, that we no longer damage the floor underneath our carpet tiles. They're easier to install, they're quicker to install, they're easier to take up, and it means they can be used in a second location with no associated carbon. So we are now supplying our carpet tiles with a second location warranty if you use any of the IOBAC mag tabs or tabbit products, which means you have the commercial certainty that the product will work and will be reusable in a second location. But let's be honest, not every carpet tile out there can be closed loop recycled. And that's a huge challenge, particularly when 1.2 million people in the UK don't have flooring in their house. So what we're trying to do for all of our products that are still Cradle to Cradle accredited but aren't closed loop recycled, we're aiming to partner with the Salvation Army Trading Company to reuse that product in a housing association or a local authority project to ensure that everybody can have the flooring they require. The beauty about this isn't the nature or the intent of the demand, it's the fact that we've made it practically possible to get carpet tile from a site after it's been used to a local depot, and there's 50 depots across the UK. Previously, there would only be 2 locations to do this. So even while we're not specifying closed loop manufactured products, we can reuse in the best possible way. So one last question, because I'm being pressured to finish. We asked the question earlier if you'd heard of Cradle to Cradle, and a few of you put your hand up. Somebody asked the question if you'd specified a Cradle to Cradle product, and hardly anyone put their hand up. After listening to us up here, Who is going to specify a cradle-to-cradle product next time? Please show your hands. And that's all we ask you to do. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for speakers, and it's time for questions from the audience. But I have a question actually, so I'll go first, and then we'll have a microphone going around the audience. So we have heard that Cradle to Cradle certified is really challenging organizations for continuous improvements and innovations. But are there any other benefits to having Cradle to Cradle certified? And I think you can use the microphone.
Can you hear me?
Who would
Hello?
like to go first?
Hello.
I'll go first because my mic works, right? So, yeah, certainly. I mean, the total framework, and you'll learn a bit about the rest of the cradle-to-cradle reference points, pillars, ambitions are really important. And they do tell the entire story. They tell the life cycle of a product. They tell all the impacts that we're being asked for from our customers and our specifiers right now. Material health has always been the most important part, and that guides the dematerialization or the removal of harmful chemicals, and that is the biggest impact we have as product manufacturers. But everything that surrounds the procurement, the installation, the management of all the associated resources that we all look at on LCAs and EPDs every day is covered by Cradle to Cradle very comprehensively. So it tells the entire story and not just the little bit of story that some manufacturers like to tell.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there anybody else who would like to share any more benefits?
I think for myself, what we find with the architects is that we're now being very transparent with them from the beginning with regards to our sustainability journey. So for us, I think that's a major benefit with now partnering with yourselves like Cradle to Cradle. So yeah.
Tina, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I'd just like to add that Cradle to Cradle gives us this holistic approach to sustainability, because at this time there is so much focus on carbon emission, which is very, very important, but we just cannot forget about material health, because that's really the basis for us to have a circular economy.
Thank you. And Andrea, maybe I will ask you a different question, because you are not making products that you highlighted, but you are making or linking to the digital product passports. And so how do you feel that the digital product passports will be supporting the material health and circularity agenda?
I think there's like a twofold benefit, because like kind of almost in response to the first question, we've created a sample passport for future build, showing material passports for a lot of these developers and other Cradle-to-Cradle certified producers on the stand. And actually, creating those passports has been so easy, because the framework requires you guys to think about everything already. You just give us a bit of information, and it's taken us no time at all to create the passport. So I think it is such a holistic framework that means manufacturers know what they're doing. They are good, responsible manufacturers if they've got through that process. And then on the flip side, I think in the future, being able to know more about products where they've been, as someone said, like what's happened to them when they've been in the building, which buildings have they been into, through the digital product passport framework, that's going to enable more products to become Cradle-to-Cradle certified with recycled content, which I know is kind of one of the challenges at the moment for some levels of the certification as well.
Thank you, Andrea. And do we have any questions from the audience? Just put your hand up.
Hi, this is a question from Madasta. I wanted to ask you how far you're aligning with the new sort of guidelines that have come out just recently on passports, material passports.
You mean like the ORMS guidelines or Waterman's guidelines? Yeah. So the platform can be used in accordance with all of those guidelines. At the moment, the platform can be used quite flexibly. So we haven't enforced specific rules because there weren't any industry rules or guidelines at the moment. So yeah, if you're working towards the Waterman's framework or the ORMS guidelines, you can use the Madasta platform in that way. And as some of those guidelines kind of become more standards as opposed to guidelines, obviously that will become enforced within the platform in future as well.
Any more questions? Don't be shy. going.
Just, just when you're engaging internally on this, the questions that those that have made the case in your own organisations. I mean, for those that are not really buying into perhaps the value-based argument about how good this is for the planet, how do you make the financial case, and how compelling is that? And without revealing the numbers themselves, do you have the data to back up that this makes sense financially, as well as more broadly in your organizations?
I can't divulge any numbers. I don't know all of them anyway. So, no, I think that was probably more of a question for sure 20 years ago in a totally different environment where sustainability wasn't really doing. But it was all really about the market demand and the way that we can meet the market demand. And there was an element of, we were subsidizing our EcoWorks carpet tile 20 years ago versus a PVC carpet tile because it was cheaper. And that subsidy eventually disappeared where most people were selecting an EcoWorks product, and we were able to then be able to manage that as our sole carpet tile. So you've got to have the funds to be able to do that, but you've also got to have the intent and the direction to want to do it. And I think that's where you mentioned earlier on your talk about culture and leadership. You've really got to have the right culture and leadership, and nobody blame their board or their C-suite, okay? It's all about you inside you. You're totally in control of your actions and what you propose to your line manager, your project team. It's all about that intent. And we've been lucky at Shaw that we managed to do that very early on. But it only really lives in people if they really want to make the decision to specify the right product and the most rigorously certified product. So we still, we had to make EcoWorks in Scotland to make it the right price for the UK market, to make it a quicker lead time, because we were importing it from the US and it was more expensive and it took too long to get here and people wouldn't select it, even if it did have trade to cradle. So there are so many other elements involved, but it all starts from what you said earlier about culture and leadership. And don't let anybody tell you that that's not about you, because it's totally about you.
I think for us at Equitone, it's nice to hear the architects and the designers come back and say that because we are the first fibre cement company that is actually associated with Cradle to Cradle. So that really helps that we are on the sustainability journey. However, it has come back to us that being sustainable can also be quite an expensive format as well. But I think how we try to get it across to them to say, we're trying to do the right things. And if you do want to help the environment with your projects, you've got to have to think about, like you said, the budget, the intent of your budget it has to be right. You're going to have to pay for that. And I think that's trying to get that, as you say, over to them. And we do at Equitone do that quite well, hopefully. So, yeah.
Well, for us at Toltec, the financial benefits today, I think, rather obvious for most of the organization that the Cradle to Cradle strategy has been key part of the success that we're having. But in the early days, we didn't see it financially, but what's been very important for us is to have top management support. And the way we sort of achieved that was the recognition, because we actually won quite a few awards based on our Cradle to Cradle strategy. And I think for the top management to be engaged and to support this culture, that was really the driver. That was a recognition to start with. Today, it's also financial.
Thank you. We have a few more minutes for final question, if there are any. Put your hand up now if you have another question. Well, it doesn't look like, so please stay for the next session, which is part 2 of this presentation, where we will hear from more companies about how they are implementing the change in the other categories of the Cradle to Cradle certified framework. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Oh yes, don't forget to visit us at G20 stage, a big area where you can see the largest stand of Cradle to Cradle certified exhibitors in the UK. Thank you.